everybody.
Hi everyone. If there's anyone watching, never actually know. Nice to see you. So welcome to series 2. We're really pleased to be back. We've had a little break, got a new look, and we've been busy, so busy, launching masterminds and all sorts. But anyway, here today, happy 1st of December. We're talking about what's in it for you on a retained basis. Not very often, but sometimes we get people saying to us, like, but actually, is it any better working on a retained basis? And we were gonna share with you our experience of that. That's probably the best way of giving you a flavour for if it is or it isn't. Because we've both transitioned from working contingently to working retained, haven't we, Jordan?
Yeah. And it's funny, actually. I mean, just to frame that, I think you're right, Lou. We get a lot of people asking us, is it any better? And it's not, I think they're not asking that out of a place of being wrong. They're asking that because they really don't know.
Yeah.
They've been stuck on that contingent wheel for so long that it's just become ingrained often and part of who they are. That all of a sudden, when somebody mentions this new way, this different way that they're not used to, it can be a bit daunting, I suppose.
Yeah, and also I think some people have got a perception of retained, or they've had a bit of experience of it, or they've seen other people do it and it not go so well. Or they've got a negative perception of it, actually. And some people do see it as, well, I don't want to be tied to my client, or they've seen someone take on a retainer and not be able to deliver against it. So I think some people are a bit wary of whether it is actually any better for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any step in life, though, I suppose. I mean, it's like moving from riding around on your push bike to when you first starting to drive a car, right? It's great and it's exciting, but it is daunting. And if you don't get taught how to do it properly, or you don't do it properly, it's
dangerous. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is dangerous. Maybe not quite as dangerous as driving a car without knowing how to, but it can be dangerous for your career and your business if you don't get it right. So, like, can you share your experience, Jordan? Like, you moved from contingent to retain quite quickly, didn't you? What was your experience of whether it was?
Well, I think, I mean, just to give you the background, I was like so many people, and I just kind of fell into recruitment. It wasn't a plan. I just, all of a sudden, I was sat behind a desk, specking out CVs, pulling leads, and trying to win jobs on a contingent basis. And I worked that way probably like 3 or 4 years, thinking that was the only way. And it got to a point with me where I was just so frustrated by that contingent model, probably to the point that I was very close to leaving recruitment for good and going to something else to do. And then I found you, Louise, in this course and was taught that there was a different way. And yeah, it took a little bit of hard work and it took some commitment to kind of break through. But when I did, my God, the rewards were significant and I never looked back. I mean, I think that the big one for me, the one that I enjoyed the most, was that it gave me a sense of fulfillment and it gave me an opportunity to work in true partnership with my clients. The minute I started working with financial commitment, I noticed that kind of master-slave relationship balanced, then we became partners. And that kind of set everything that I've done in terms of recruiting and in my career ever since.
Yeah, I experienced that too. I mean, we still experience it now, don't we? You know, we've just had an offer accepted on one of our searches that we still practice. We still practice what we preach. And if we hadn't have had that relationship with the client, there's no way that we would have achieved a result on that project. Not a chance. No way. And so for me, that was the biggest advantage for me was the productivity. Where I was the most frustrated, and I posted about this recently, was I got to the stage where I was a single parent and working contingently, and I was spending time on stuff that wasn't resulting in a fee. And what changed most dramatically for me when I worked on a retained basis was that everything that I worked on resulted in a fee. And none of my time was wasted. Nothing that I did wasn't productive. And when you've got children that you want to spend time with, the opportunity cost was just too big. So that was what was in it for me. And I mean, it's more satisfying achieving a result on every project, I find.
It is. I mean, it's interesting. I was speaking to somebody about this the other day, and it isn't one size fits all. I mean, if you look at the people that join us and want to move into this world of financial commitment and partnership, some of the people are currently working on 14 jobs at any given time, and they're filling 3.
Yeah.
And some of those people say, actually, I've got a family, I've got kids to look after, and actually, I'm quite happy at where I'm billing at the moment. What I want to do is work on 3 roles, fill 3 roles, and have time to spend with my family and my kids.
Not work on the other 14.
Exactly. And some people say, forget that. I want to work on 14 roles, fill 14, and
make 5 times the amount.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
it's so
really a right or wrong, is there, I suppose?
No. No, not at all. People do it for different reasons, don't they? And some people it's
forecastable revenue for me. I mean, I was going through a time in my life where me and my now wife were engaged, but we were going to get married, and weddings are seemingly the most expensive things in the world. We were moving house, and all these things were going on. And although recruitment is lucrative, right, it's so erratic. Yeah, or something drops out of final interview, and that big bonus is now an okay bonus, or whatever it might be. All of a sudden, all of that revenue is forecastable. I knew 3 months out I was going to be earning, when I was going to be earning it, as long as it follows a process that had been given to me.
And even when you go on holiday or you take a couple of weeks off, it carries on. You don't have to worry that you're going to come back to nothing. It's still there.
Right? Yeah, I remember going off at Christmas and saying to my wife, I'm probably going to have to go in between Christmas and New Year, because if I don't, the other contingent agencies will, and they're going to fill my jobs, and that is not allowed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not the same when you're working retained. There are so many benefits to it. And we're going to talk in future episodes about, what that commitment looks like, and dispelling that preconception or that misconception that you're tied to the client to find the perfect candidate. We've talked about it before, but we'll talk about it again to give you the reassurance if that's what you're worried about. But the other thing I wanted to bring up today was we get people saying to us, like, I know this, I know that it's going to be better for me, and I want to move to this model. But my problem is that I'm doing such a good job at the moment, and I'm filling the vast majority of the positions for some of my clients, and they're happy with what I'm doing. Where's the incentive for them to move, to change this model? How do I actually convert it?
Yeah, we come up against this a lot, don't we? We're actually really good contingent recruiters have kind of sleptwalk into a problem that's difficult to get out of. I mean, a lot of it, for me, I remember one of the biggest changes, Lou, when I first started working with you, when I first started doing this course, was a mindset piece, really. And it was about dispelling that kind of master-slave relationship in a way. And I think with regards to that, when a customer says, I'm really happy, you're doing a great job for me contingently, I don't want to change anything, we don't always have to pitch retain just because it's right for the customer. Sometimes it's about what's right for us. And I would argue in markets that are as difficult as markets are today, if you are filling almost everything you work on, you are doing far too much work without financial commitment for it to be commercially viable long term. I mean, maybe I ever go at kind of handling that objection. I mean, what I would say to a customer if a customer had said that to me, that I'm really happy and I just want to keep working contingently, is I'd say, I'm really, really pleased that you're happy with the service that we're providing, and I really enjoy working with you too, I really do, and I want to carry on delivering a great service. But as I've explained, the market's changed. There are fewer active candidates than there ever were before. Competition for those candidates is more fierce than it ever has been. And because of that, we're having to spend more and more time on every single assignment we work on to ensure that we reach a result. The problem we have is that currently we're working completely at risk and on a no-win, no-fee basis. And I can't keep doing that. Commercially, it's not viable. But let me reassure you, this isn't an exercise for me to make more money. The cost overall is the same. But in order for me to continue providing that great service, keep delivering results for you, and potentially even improve the level of those results, I'm going to need some financial commitment from you to make sure that I can apply the time, the rigor, the resource necessary to ensure that we reach the result.
Yeah, that's right. And they understand, like, if you haven't said that, how do they know? So yeah, I was actually coaching a group this morning that they've got a similar problem. And actually what the catalyst has been is they're working on a position that they're really struggling with. They're really, really struggling with it. It's really difficult. But they've got 1,000,001 other things going on. And they're working on it on a contingent basis, and they've not got the result that they want. The client's getting frustrated, asking them for more CVs. I mean, that's the perfect time to have this kind of conversation when you're actually really facing challenges around delivering and keeping the level of service to where they expect it to be. That's the time to say, are you happy with what we're doing? For them to say, no, you need to fill this now. And you to say, okay, I need to talk to you because the way that we're working isn't enabling me to reach a result on this project.
Yeah. Well, the key to that, I think, as well, without going off on too much of a tangent, is there has to be a differing level of service between your offerings. You can't do a full retained search on a contingent basis, because I remember me and you, Lou, doing a talk at an event probably 6 or 8 months ago, and a member of the audience saying, well, how am I supposed to sell retained search? Because I do a full retained search on a contingent basis. And it was like, well, yeah, that's a great question. I don't really know. Why would a customer commit to you financially if you're going to do the same job without that financial commitment? So there are some decisions to make as well to put you in a position to be able to position this with the client in the right way and in a way that hits home and is impactful.
Yeah, but anybody doing that, anybody throwing the kitchen sink at every position on a contingent basis is getting to the stage now where they realise that's not commercially viable to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So just don't carry on. Don't keep doing it. In order for you to keep doing that for your clients, you're going to need some financial commitment from them. And now's the time to have a conversation with them.
And trust me and Louise and all of our members that they will commit. It is possible. It is possible. I remember thinking it wasn't right at the very start. But if we position it in the right way, it absolutely is.
Yeah, it is. Okay, don't be shy. We're here for another 15 minutes, so pop some questions in. I'm just going to have a look through the questions now. So George says, are recruiters still more loyal to the client than the person they're placing? That makes me think that you're probably not a recruiter, George, which is fine. The answer is we're paid by the client. We are paid by the client. That's why we work for the client generally.
Yeah.
It's not about loyalty. We maintain networks. We are human beings, and the vast majority of us are good human beings, and we care about the people that we work with, equally, our clients and our candidates, but it's the client that pays us. So they are our customer.
I like to think that the vast majority of recruiters have their moral compass pointing firmly in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, they're the customer, so we do work for them.
Yeah.
Okay. Jenna, Thank you, guys. Question: working in extremely candidate-driven environments where candidates are very often randomly specced in by other recruiters, yes, and it's fastest finger first, how do you overcome the client objection to work with you, retained and exclusive? Well, the thing is, you don't need to. Working on a retained basis is, in our experience, is a solution, not an upsell. So what I mean by that is, if the client is happy with the way that things are going at the moment and receiving spec CVs on a fastest finger first basis, and it's working for them and they're getting what they want when they want it and it's an enjoyable process, I wouldn't suggest that they do anything differently. And why should they? But what I've experienced is, when you uncover whether they are happy and you ask them, are you getting what you want when you want it? Is it an enjoyable process? Is everything working for you? They tend not to be having a great time. Most of them will actually go as far as to start slagging recruiters off and say, it's awful, it's a nightmare, it's really frustrating, the quality's terrible or the quantity's terrible, or we get bombarded, and working in a retained partnership is the way to solve that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully that helps. Jade, what would you say are the selling points for the client, I presume? Yeah,
I would presume
so?
Yeah.
Again, it's the same. It's a very similar answer to I've just given to that one. It's not about a sell. It's about providing solutions. So if what the client is doing at the moment is working, then I wouldn't even try to suggest that they should do something differently. But if it isn't, then the retained solution, in whatever guise that might be, whether it's a single search assignment, whether it's a multi-hire campaign, whether it's a piece of intelligence to uncover what the competitors are doing that means they're sucking up all the talent, or whatever else it might be that you come up with as a solution, it's the solution to the challenge that they're facing. So the sell is that it solves their problems.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Did that make sense, Jordan?
I think it did make sense. Yeah, I mean, part of the problem, Jade, is there are so many selling points.
Yeah.
So there are so many, but ultimately it will always come on the back of the challenge that the customer is facing.
Yeah.
Being the solution to help them overcome that.
Yeah. So if their problem is that they've got empty positions that are not getting filled, well, the selling point is that we will work with you to make sure that you reach a result. We'll be putting you in a position where you're making a decision from everything that is available to you in the market at this time. If their problem is they're getting bombarded by agencies, this way of working eliminates that completely. If their time to hire is too long, retained search is hands down the fastest way of making a hire. So yeah, I agree with you, Jordan. It depends what the problem is. Whatever the problem is, the solution can usually be found working in partnership on a retained basis.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, we've got one from Nicole. Nicole is asking, is there a certain industry that you see more retained search in? No, is the honest answer. There are so many misconceptions, Nicole, that it needs to be in professional environments, that it needs to be senior. It really isn't the case. The general rule of thumb, in my opinion, is if the roles that you are working on are easy and you can easily find candidates and you can easily fill them and they cause you no challenge at all, most of your clients will probably continue to work contingently. If the roles you work on are tough and they are challenging for various reasons, then this will work brilliantly well. And
generally in those situations, the contingent model is falling over, and you're doing yourself and your client a disservice by not explaining that there's a way to solve those challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Neil says, thank you, Neil. Do you find clients will try and drive down the overall percentage when it comes to working retained?
The clients, Neil, they always try and drive down percentages, contingent.
Yeah, I'd say that's not exclusive to working retained. Not any more or less than they do on any basis for any product or service.
Yeah. The difference I found actually, though, Lou, working retained over contingent, is that normally I've engaged with them in a way that means I understand their challenge, their position a lot more than I would have on a contingent basis. I understand the pain that they're in, and that means I'm in a much stronger position to negotiate from my side than I was working contingently.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree. And the more you do with it, and the more partnerships that you build, the more secure your revenue is, the more secure your work is, the more confident you are.
Yeah.
The more that comes across in the way that you talk to your clients and the way that you say, if you're not comfortable with that, or you don't want to work with me on that basis, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Good luck with whatever you decide to do. And that's what drives them to you, to want to come back to you, because you're so confident in what you're saying.
My first job out of university was selling adverts in the Yellow Pages, and the first lesson I was ever told was desperate people never sell.
Yeah.
So it's much easier to negotiate from a position of strength.
Yeah, exactly. Chris says, thank you, Chris. If you pitch a retainer on your search, do everything but still don't fill the role, how do you avoid burning bridges with that client? Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, this is almost
a big question, actually.
It is. It's kind of my favourite objection, actually. What happens if you don't fill it? Again, there's a mindset shift here. Our job, Chris, as recruiters, is not to pull rabbits out of hats or to manufacture people that don't exist. Our job is to carry out a really thorough search. So there are two things I would say to this. Firstly, the proactive nature of our delivery process, if done properly, means we don't get to a position where all of a sudden we throw it on the client that we can't fill this role. We work in partnership with them throughout that process to prevent this situation occurring. How I would handle that objection is by saying the financial commitment from you as a client is what allows me to commit in return to working with you until we reach a result. But we are dealing with people here. So what I can't guarantee you is that the result we end up reaching is going to be the exact result that we set out to achieve at the start. Maybe the candidate you want doesn't exist. Maybe they do exist, but they're not looking for a new job at this time. But what I can guarantee you is that our process will be thorough, it will be rigorous, it will be transparent. And that if at any point we need to re-steer the search, you'll make that decision based on fact and evidence. And that means that when we reach a result, which we absolutely will, you will be 100% confident that it's the best result available to you in the market at this time. That's what the customer buys, Chris. The process.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that misconception that we've answered it. We were talking about saying that we'll do that in future sessions, but we do have to do it quite regularly anyway. That you have to find the perfect candidate. That isn't what this is about. So just going back to Chris's question, you do everything but you still don't fill the role. It depends. The process that you apply when you're working on a retained basis is everything. Is everything to your delivery rates, your confidence in what you're doing, your client satisfaction, and the overall result. If, for example, you're taking a brief, going away, talking to candidates, and then sending CVs through, and you don't fill the role, you're going to have a very disappointed client at the end of it.
Yeah.
And an uneducated, uninformed, frustrated client. If what you're putting in place is a transparent delivery process that allows for re-steering, that allows for them seeing what you're doing at every stage, and that puts the client in the position at the end of the project that they are certain they're making their decision from everything that is available to them, even if that's nobody, they're not going to be disappointed because they've got all the evidence and all the information, all the intelligence to decide what they're going to do instead. And me being me and us being us, we tend then to work with that client to find an alternative solution, whatever that might be.
Yeah. And actually, when we get the objection from customers, we don't pay retainers. It's normally because they've worked with somebody who's taken the money and not followed that.
And not put a process in.
I plead with you all, please don't do that because it makes our job harder.
Please don't take the retainer if you don't know how to deliver it. Right. I think, let me just see, have we got some more questions? I think that's bringing us to a close on this first live in the new series. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's been helpful. We're going to be doing them on a regular basis, and our next session is going to be, what is our next time? What's in it for your client?
Yeah.
So we've covered it a little bit today, but we're going to be going into more depth on our next session. Hey, listen, the other thing that we'd love is to get to know you a bit more, find out who you are, what you're up to, where you're at with Retrained. We would love to find out whether our training could be suitable for you. Book a call with us. The diary is on our website. I think you might even get it sent as a follow-up to this session. We'd love to have a chat with you. So please do that. Also follow us on YouTube. We release new videos all the time, little helpful hints and tips. And if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, then you'll get sent the new videos as they're released. And you'll see us and the other members of our team sharing loads of useful things.
When is the next session?
Have I covered everything, George? When is the next session? I don't know. No idea. Charles in the background?
Charles, save us, please. Please, Charles. Save us.
When's our next session, Charles? I know, she's gone. Is it a month? Is it monthly?
Yeah. Next session, early January.
Early January. There you go. Got a whole month to wait. But talk to us in the meantime. Book a call. Come and have a chat with us. And follow us on YouTube. Thanks very much for joining us today, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Thanks, Lou.
Look forward to seeing you soon. Bye, George.
See you soon. Bye, everyone.